Hi guys, welcome to Reconfidence with Paps, and it's good to see you if you're here for the first time, and if you're a regular, welcome back. And last time we had this conversation on destiny and origin. Let's actually order them right: origin and destiny. And today we just want to think about the past. How does my past become a factor of where did my bolt go? And just pulling in one character that I love. Honestly, I really love Bible stories and I love telling them in my own version. Yeah, so here we go with the story of Jephthah. It's in Judges 11, and I just love the way it starts. Jephthah was a mighty warrior, but his mother was a prostitute. I mean, that is a climax and anticlimax in the same sentence. When you think about the story of Jephthah, some of us have a past we can do nothing about, you know. Like I said last time, you don't choose your origin, and sometimes your origin can be such a place of limitation. And how do you deal with things that you can't change? Number one, give them a big hug. It's like, you're here, okay, come. And just hug them. And there's so many things that we will need to embrace so that we can get past them. We need to embrace them, we need to accept them, we need to make peace with them. And probably Jephthah is that picture of less than ideal past. And when you read that story, you'll see how he was rejected, how he was disinherited by his brothers, and how his father is just watching helplessly because they're like, yeah, your mother is that girl, and so you don't have a place here. And then what happens in this story is how it unfolds. As much as probably my past is a place of pain, my future is still a place of potential. And there's something about Jephthah that nobody else could do. So as much as his mother was a prostitute, they needed him. He was the mighty warrior. And so when you think about how your past influences where did your bolt go? My past can be the part where I lost my bolt. But I should understand that there are so many things still about my past that are positive that I can leverage on to get to the future. And Jephthah, one day they were going to battle and they could not win. They didn't have a good strategy, they didn't have a good leader. And then they came to Jephthah and they were like, will you lead us? And Jephthah was like, yes, I will lead you, but you'll have to make me your leader. I'll go with you, but you'll have to make me your leader. And so when you think about it, what are the resources you still have despite what happened to you? And one of the things that I love probably taking people through coaching is for you to be able to separate your crocodiles and your ladders. So when you look at your past, you can see the crocodiles. Some of them are still snapping at you right now in your head. You know, because some of the traumas we've not dealt with from the past can still be a current thing that is still stopping us from really enjoying the present and living in the future. And so you need to go back and also look at the ladders, because everybody had glimpses of hope. You know, you had someone who was an oasis in the desert. You had situations that gave you a break and a relief when you're really struggling. And so it's important for you to go back and just audit. You're like, yeah, those are my giants. Those are the crocodiles that probably I have some scars showing how bad it was. But at the same time, how did I get out of it alive? Because behind every pain, there's also a story of some level of victory. And you remember, get your bolt back is about still being able to see how can I leverage on the past. And then the other thing that I want to throw in is making lemonades. And this is the story of another guy called Samson. Of course, Samson has so many. He's like a series of drama and positives, dramas and positives. But I really love this part where Samson is going to fight a lion. He was probably going with his parents to, I think he was going for a ratio. Honestly, I don't know whether a ratio used to be for two people those days. Nowadays, it's a big deal. And then when they're going down to Timnah, the guy is like, I need to pee. And so I end up on a bush. And then what comes at him? It's a lion. And whenever I think about that part, just pause. It's to imagine he had not planned for it, he had not anticipated it. Yes, so you know Samson was this strong guy. And sometimes even people who are strong can just go through something that was unprecedented. You know, a curveball just comes your way and you thought you were so strong, and then you're like, wow, I was strong, but I didn't think that I was strong for such things. And so that curveball comes at Samson. And the Bible says Samson rips apart the lion. And then, nice story, they go down to Timnah. When they're coming back, surprise, there is honey in the carcass. First of all, bees don't like wet places. And so it doesn't even make sense. How can we have bees not only coming to a dead thing, but also a wet thing to make honey there? And then the Bible says Samson scooped out the honey and went shared with his parents, but he didn't tell them where the honey came from. And so when I look at that picture, I see how we fight battles alone, but get my bold back is being able to go back to those carcasses and to realize there's something that can come out of it. And Samson actually made a riddle out of this, and he was like, out of the eater comes out honey. And that riddle, of course, went wild. Of course, to madem bado alimwangusha. He wanted to really win from that riddle, but then he lost badly, and of course, he was just a crazy guy. But just the fact that statement is really loaded when you think about your past. Out of the eater comes out honey. So what wanted to eat you up? What has been coming at you or came at you, and you're like, I'm not sure I'll survive this. Can you believe out of that eater can still come out honey? And that is God's economy. It doesn't make sense. Honestly, it doesn't make sense. But also when I look back at my past, there are so many things that were eaters for me. And you remember last time I shared about how I struggled with depression as a teenager. And what happened, how the eater became honey. When I left high school, I remember just wondering, but then who is usually there for teenagers? Because I felt like nobody was there for me. When I had those many dark nights, when I was struggling with hopelessness, when I was despairing, those times that I just used to look together on the outside. I remember one of my friends was like, hi Paps, but when you're in high school you were so popular. Like, what do you mean you're going through depression? And I'm just like, I had such a poor self-esteem. I was failing. I remember when I was in Form 3 that time I had a D-, and my dad was like, I'm not visiting you in school again. We are done. You're just a loser. You are hopeless. I remember he actually used those words, and they really sank into my heart. And I remember that year, 27th December 1999, visiting with my auntie somewhere in a remote village, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to end it tonight. I'm no longer going to be a liability to anyone. And I was done. And I remember that night, she had a borehole outside, just a few meters outside the house. And I was like, I'll wait for her to sleep and then I'll go and throw myself in. Honestly, I think I was just a suicidal teenager with a sense of humor, because I was like, so if I throw myself in, how will they get me out? Who cares when you're dead? Yeah, that was very funny. Who cares when you're dead? And I remember that night when I lost the courage to throw myself in, going back to the room and really sitting there with my despair, with my agony, with my hopelessness and helplessness and lots of failures, and not seeing any glimpse of hope ahead. But I remember just telling God, help me. Like, I think I really said help me so many times. And then I broke down into these sobs. Though you cry back, you're like, that was my story that night. I don't know how many hours I cried, but I know it was a very long time because my voice was hoarse in the morning. And I just remember that night, getting into this peace mode of the reassurance that God is with me and God is for me. And I remember actually making those emotional prayers we make when exams are nearby. Yeah, you guys have done that before. And I was like, God, if you give me C+, I will serve you for the rest of my life. Yeah, of course, when you have a D-, don't ask for an A. Okay, at least I didn't have that courage. And so I was like, just give me a C+. I'll serve you for the rest of my life. And I remember going back to high school and just feeling like it was just like a new day. The way you wake up and it is sunny. I just felt like from that night there was such sunshine in my life and nothing really changed. I mean, probably it was just the God factor. And just going back to life. And then later, a few years later, of course, by then I got the C+. True story, I got the C+. And I'm serving God for the rest of my life. Clearly. And just looking back, I remember now going to college. And every time after I left high school, I was like, who is usually there for the teenagers? And so that was what was my eater. The failure, the hopelessness, the despair. And going back to Form 4 and feeling like things started looking up. I got nice friends. I got some encouragement. I joined Christian Union. I started being focused. I stopped wasting time. And then finally I'm out of high school. And I decided that I want to go back to high school and journey with other girls. And that is how I probably started out on my passion. And during this time that I'm going to high schools, I still had a job, that really sucked because I did a career that I didn't want. I did IT, something I had no passion about. But I remember, that is in 2000. What do you know? There was no internet. Where do you even Google who had uploaded their college online? for you to know where you can do your social work, because I was sure when I was a teenager I wanted to do social work because I wanted to help people and journey with people. But then out of the eater, later comes out honey, and I'm able to be there with teenagers to journey with them, and then later Woman Arise lands, and then later we have Reconfidence, and then later we have Leading Change, which is a platform for inspiring mentors and encouraging them to look beyond probably a teacher, look beyond teaching and having kids pass your subject, and see yourself as a mentor who is able to journey with them and transform their lives. And of course for our parents as well, to look beyond the child and my assumptions and probably my own traumas, and look at them in terms of how can I still be bold in how I'm leading them. And so just looking back, I just feel like, yeah, that was such a big eater, but out of it came honey. And one of the things I want you to see about that story, the honey benefits more people, but sometimes the eater is your own battle. And so right now you may really be struggling and feeling stuck, but what if this is a battle that you must win so that we can share the honey? And I remember a while ago when we had the Woman Arise lounge, and it was about, making the lemonades. I mean, you have one lemon. You can choose whether you want to keep this lemon like a souvenir, and every time you're like, okay guys, this is the lemon in my life. With time it will wither. It will just dry away. You know the way you leave a lemon for a while, alafu kidogo kidogo it's actually solid rock. Or it will rot. And then you will still lose it, and there will be so much bitterness. And then you can also decide to go plastic. I mean, we have those nice lemons, those matundas that are usually artificial that are put in some tables. And then you just go there and you're like, wow, nice lemon, kak. And then it's plastic. We can choose to be artificial. People will be attracted to us, but when they come nearby, they'll start saying, something is not adding up here. But then one day we can choose to fold our sleeves and deal with it. And that is what Get Your Bowl Back looks like. You're just like, yeah, this is lemon. Yeah. The pH is very high, but this is my life right now. And guess what? One lemon with a little sugar and water can actually make more lemonade that you can share with other people. But you need to be willing to lose the lemon. And so I don't know what's your lemon today. I don't know what's going on in your life. But guess what? Get Your Bowl Back has to do with making sure the lemons end up in the lemonade.